I don't like tacky taint either.
You had to. I said it and I knew it. I thought I could get away without it.
No. Are you shitting me?
All right, so welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm Luke with Cross Rifles. This is Dave Winters. We do some podcasts here. This is going to be the first in quite a bit of YouTube series that we're going to do about Cerakoting. And the reason we wanted to do this quick beginning here is kind of just tell you what this is going to be about, some of the future videos. And Dave's going to be running most of those videos. He'll be the one kind of giving us all of the play because he's going to be in the booth the most. So Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about what's going to be upcoming, what's in this video, what we're going to talk about?
Okay, this particular video, we're going to just do a simple distress job, burnt bronze on a SIG, I think it was 226, but it kind of highlights exactly how I like to do distress jobs, and there's some really up close camera footage, so you can really kind of see what's going on. We're going to go over gun settings, we're going to go over bake settings, just down to the nitty gritty how we're going to do this particular distress job. In upcoming videos, I've got a list here of 11 that we plan on shooting. We've started shooting and editing on this, but it's going to take a little while to get them all done. A quick rundown is how to take Cerakote orders, how to bring a gun into your shop, prep steps, the equipment we choose to use, and the equipment we have chosen to no longer use or sidestep, the spraying basics. Once the job is done, how do you take pictures and market yourself a little bit? And then specific techniques about like stencils, distress stuff, laser beams, combining all those techniques, color fill, and clear coat effects, gun candy stuff. So those videos are probably going to be 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour long. We'll see what they end up, but we're going to be as detailed as possible and help you in your Cerakote business or your hobby to get what we would consider really good results.
Yeah, this is Dave's brainchild. He kind of came up with this whole idea. We learned how to Cerakote through YouTube, and while there's some really good resources out there, we thought we could bring some more to you, the viewer. So if you caught up on number 5, number 6, and you just came back to watch this one, this is the first one, and you're starting at a good spot.
All right,
let's get into this.
Okay. All right, so here we've got we're laying our base coat down. This one in particular is burnt bronze. I have the gun set at half a rotation on the top knob, about 3/4, just shy of a full rotation on the bottom knob, just enough air to make a nice dot and not get any spatter. And I'm gonna hit all the hard to reach spots on a pistol. So we make sure we don't get any dry spray and make sure that I get good coating in all those locations.
This is the tough one for a lot of people, getting those hard to get spots. And, we're grabbing just some of the insides of the trigger guard, maybe the bottom of the mag well, depending on the gun. And then you're just going to go at it with normal spray. You're going to adjust your fan out probably a little bit after this.
Right. So these are the spots that, and it may be different for whoever is spraying. These are the spots that I have a hard time getting a good coat on when I'm just doing my normal spray pattern. And I learned that through checking jobs out after they come out of the oven, and I have dry spray and locations. So I hit all those spots, get a good wet coat in there, and then adjust the gun up and move on from there. I'm on the slide right now. I like to get around the inside of the front of the slide, and then I do the inside of the whole bottom side of the slide, so I'm not just pouring paint in there when I'm spraying normally.
Makes sense. This is one of those, without spraying hundreds of slides, you might not realize where your weak spot is. And I think everybody's is going to be in very similar spots. Mm-hmm. And this is very much one of those, learn from our mistakes, don't make your own. If you've been Cerakoting for a long time and you're on YouTube to figure some stuff out, you're going to say, oh yeah, obviously. But here at this point, this is one of those, if you're a beginner, this is pay attention to this and learn from our mistakes. We've had to blast a lot of projects down.
Oh, right. Here I'm adjusting the gun out to a full turn on the top, 2 full turns on the bottom, and then full air. So what I want is about a 2-inch wide fan, 1.75, 2-inch wide fan at about 5 inches with plenty of paint there. I move pretty fast when I'm spraying my like overall coats, so I like quite a bit of paint coming out of the gun.
You adjust all the way down to close and then reopen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So here we're going to see your standard spray pattern. We're going to octagon this thing off like a stop sign.
Right.
And that's one of those techniques that we really brought into the booth, and it helped with some of our spraying. And you start on one side and you do your angles here, your up and down angle, 45 degree angle up, 45 degree angle down, alternating. So once you get completed with one octagon, you start over at the opposite direction.
Right. So you start at the beginning. I pick a corner. I start at that corner, and then I go like 45 degree angle down, up, and I rotate all the way around the piece. And then I start back over, up, down, rotate all the way around the piece. Now I also count, because whatever we're shooting is very rarely a circle unless it's a barrel.
Right.
So I also count, like I'll do on that pistol slide, I could get the side in one whole fan.
Yep.
So I can go up, down, up on the bottom of the slide, down on the side of the slide, up, down, up on the top of the slide, down on the other side.
Yep.
Where if it's like an AR receiver, down, up on the top, up, down, up on the side,
Yep.
down on the bottom. So it depends on how wide your piece is.
Yeah,
and then you just keep track of how many you're doing. Like, and I just keep a count in my head. Like, okay, so I do a normal, and then I got a 4, and then I do a normal, then I got a 4, then I start over.
Very big change to our spray patterns, and the ability to spray one project to the next and have them have the same level of Cerakote.
Right, and we took it a step further than that. We got a thickness gauge, started spraying lowers, and then started measuring them all.
Yep.
To make sure we're close to 2 mils on our jobs. And after a while, you get to know what that looks like on the piece.
Yep.
I can tell you if we're thick or if we're thin just by looking at the coating on the piece.
Thickness gauge is an expensive product for most people, and I would not recommend it for a beginner.
No.
But if you want to take it to the next level, I think it's necessary.
Sure, I think so. If you're used to spraying like automotive paint, that's a thinner coating than Cerakote is. And I was shocked when we started measuring just how much Cerakote I was hanging on a job.
Lots of Cerakote.
It is. It's a lot. And it looks like it's going to look bad.
Yep.
And then you got your 15 minutes before you throw it in the oven, and then you pull it out of the oven and it looks like glass.
Yep.
Yeah, it surprised me.
That 15 minutes, that's what we're seeing you do right here. You're hanging that piece on a rack that's behind you.
Right.
And you're just going to let it sit.
Yeah.
And you can't skip that. You cannot skip that.
You cannot. That solvent's got to get out of there before you get in the oven. And part of the reason for that is the Cerakote will skin on top. Like the top of the layer will skin, and there'll be trapped solvent underneath that layer.
Yep.
And as it heats up, it has to boil out, and you'll get bubbles in your job. I mean, yeah. So don't skip the 15 minutes. And even if it looks like it's dry, it looks like it's all flashed out, just wait 15 minutes.
Yep.
Just do it. So here we're going to the frame. I always shoot frames. I put a small spreader hook in between, like on the trigger pin or one of the holes that's in the frame, and I put my little arm sleeve on because I shoot paint all over myself if I don't. And I do the same kind of pattern. So I start at a location, up, down, up, down. I count how many up downs I do on each side. I do it the same, try and do it the same every time. I'm moving kind of fast, so it's kind of hard to catch everything.
Pistol frames are one of the tougher ones. If you look at it again, like the octagon, and you've got your sides that you need to get, that pistol grip itself, you need to add 2 sides to that side of the octagon.
Right.
I understand that that's not an octagon anymore, but you just add 2 sides and then angular off everything else.
Yeah.
And you can see where you did that. You went kind of fast through the up, down through that pistol.
Okay, so this has been in the oven for 15 minutes until there's no sticky left on it at all. When you feel it, now it's coming out. I have my gun dialed back to as small a dot as I can possibly make, and still get clean paint. So here I'm just laying paint where I want the really dark spots to be. You can coat the whole outside heavily and then take a lot of it off, but it takes a lot longer. And I find that this gives me the look I want because I can put the low lights right exactly where I want them.
Yeah. And in my mind, there's 3 different looks to a distress job. This one, distress, where we're going to lay 2 heavy coat and then a full coat over it and Scotch-Brite through maybe, or acetone Scotch-Brite with something like that. And then that third one is something that we really use a lot here, and that's where we're using like double-aught, 4-aught steel wool.
Yeah.
And we are laying a light coat over and then steel wooling through. So you can still see that coat, but it's still an even coat and you're steel wooling through.
Sure.
I like this technique for this gun.
Right.
And that's some artistic liability there.
Yeah, and I think this is, I think of it in my head as like, there's dirty distress and there's like filthy chunky distress, where I'm using Scotch-Brite pads and lots of acetone and I'm leaving stuff all over.
Yep.
And if I want that look, this is a more kind of refined, controlled kind of distress. And on the bronze colors, I really like this.
Oh, it gives it almost like a 2-tone shading look. And you can see here, you hit those high ridges, or I guess any ridge and corner as you went through and did the same thing on the rail, or on the slide, I'm sorry. And now you're hitting that optics rail or light rail on the slide or the frame. God, I can't keep my slide frame. There's so many parts crawling across the screen at us.
Yeah, so I'm resetting the gun here. What I want is about a 1-inch wide, really fine mist. I don't want any spatter on it on this particular job, and I'm just doing an overall coat. So I at first, with a little tiny dot, I'm laying in where I really want my low lights to be, and then now I'm just putting a real fine mist that's pretty even all over the whole piece.
That really gives it that depth.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
You still got that color underneath, but you just gave it all that shading. So now it's got almost like hills rolling through the gun.
And it leaves a very smooth, kind of sexy finish to it too. I mean, it's very, very slick, very smooth feeling. I think that's because the Cerakote with the 4-aught steel wool, you're getting some burnish out of it. So you're taking any kind of hills and valleys out of that finish when you're doing that.
So here's exactly what you were getting into.
Right. So this is just 4-aught steel wool. I happen to buy 4-aught steel wool that has no oil in it. It's meant for waxing floors is what it's for, but it has no oil in it, so I don't have to worry about contaminating this finish if I want to go back and add spatter or another color or something later. The last thing I want to do is have lift or not good adhesion because of my steel wool. And there's no acetone on this. There's nothing. It's just steel wool and elbow grease. I should talk about how long this is going to spend in the oven before we do this process. It's somewhere between 12 and 14 minutes usually. Sometimes it could be as low as 7. Sometimes it can be as high as almost 20.
How little you sprayed or how much you missed it?
All of it, and what material it is.
Yeah.
So steel takes longer than this particular job. The slide was in the oven 3 minutes longer than the frame. The frame's aluminum or magnesium or something.
A thing.
It's light, and the steel is heavy, and it takes longer to tack out. Now, something to consider is it also stays hot longer, so it's gonna continue to tack out after you take it out of the oven.
Yes.
So it's just an experience thing. Don't be afraid to pull it when it's still a little bit sticky.
And let it sit.
And let it sit for a few. And it's okay if it's a little bit tacky when you start this process. But if it's too tacky, it'll start gumming up, balling up. Your steel wool is going to fill up with paint, and it'll be chunky on the surface.
You're looking for, as we can see right there, you're looking for that clean, even, smooth removal
of
whatever you want.
Right.
And I have steel wool and Scotch-Brite tacky paint, and it does not work.
I don't like tacky taint either.
You had to. I said it and I knew it. I thought I could get away without it.
No, are you shitting me? Yeah. Another thing I have a tendency to do is I leave another piece from the project sit on my table while I'm doing this so I can compare the two. I want them to look good together, and the best way I know of that is to directly compare the two. So even if it's like an AR job where, like this Iron Man gun behind us, that was a whole bunch of pieces. I'll finish the first one and get it where I like it, and then set it up on my table so I can hold it up right next to it, same light, same everything, compare the two, and see if there's something I want to do different or more or whatever. Right here, the black was a little heavy in this spot, and I didn't want to keep tearing into it with steel wool because there's a corner close there. And I don't want to burn through that corner and then have to sandblast and respray the whole thing. So I put a little acetone on a Q-tip, and I can get right in the spots where I want to remove some more paint. I go a little bit at a time, get in there, do a quick little wipe, and
just soften it up.
Dial it in. Yep, just dial it in.
Those are those happy little accidents that that we talk about when painting.
Sure. You see, I keep kind of shifting things around, keep looking at it from different angles, just see how I like it. I didn't film it, but I ended up taking this gun outside before I threw it in for a final bake. I wanted to see it in ambient light outside.
Natural light is some of the best. We've got fluorescents and LEDs and all these things, but the natural light will show way different.
Yeah. So here's some finished pictures of the project. We got a pro photographer that does some stuff for us. It's not a bad idea if you're not really good at photography to find somebody that is, even if it's just a hobby, and have them take pictures of your stuff, because it makes a big difference in how it looks over, a blue paper towel with a picture taken.
If you're not just doing this for a hobby, if you're trying to market yourself, how you show these finished projects to somebody is incredibly important. And listen, don't be a dick. Don't contact a photographer that you don't know and say, hey, I'll let you take pictures for experience. And then, you're not going to pay him anything. Our photographer is taken care of, whether it's be trading material, painting, trading jobs, helping them move out of their apartment. I don't know. Just make sure you take care of your photographers.
Yep, absolutely. Well, hey, we'll see you in the next one.